if you're a real estate investor in a season right now where you're looking to become a professional, like literally taking your skills as a real estate investor, whether you're in sales or marketing or whatever it is, and taking it from either mediocre or just amateur all the way up to a professional level, which in our conversation with Joe today, he talks about how pros are the ones that are actually staying in business right now and thriving, as opposed to everybody else just falling out because they're not taking the business seriously. This episode is going to be for you. This is going to be an episode where I even say it at the beginning of the show is going to be something where it's a hard conversation for a lot of people to hear. But if you're listening right now and you're a real estate investor that's struggling with your lead pipeline, with maybe you think your leads suck or your sales process sucks or whatever it is, this is going to be the episode that you want to listen to, because we're going to dive deep into philosophy of sales and marketing working together, but then also how to actually fix it. We go into a tactical, like here's Joe specifically talks about 7 different buckets that you would look at that you want to make sure you want to analyze in order to fix any process that you have. Like I gave an example of one of my buddies that I had just talked to recently, that his close or his contract to close ratio is 23%, which is really, really low. And he knows that's an issue, but we need to know what to fix in that. And so he talks about that today. So I have my good friend, Joe Cipollini, on the show today. He's actually worked with Eric Brewer, who's been on the podcast a couple times here, and now works actively with one of my other good friends, Ben Montlocker, who we'll have on the show at some point. And together they have a company called The Ramp, and it's specifically skills, and they have an academy for sales and marketing inside of the real estate investing space. And they've been in this industry for quite some time. Joe's worked with Eric Brewer and still does help run some of their business and their marketing. And they generate roughly over $1 million a month in revenue from wholesaling. And so this is going to be an episode that you're going to want to dial deep into, because Joe really knows what he's talking about. He gets a little nerdy on us and starts talking about tactics and some things that a lot of people don't think about, and you really, really need to hear. So without further ado, here's my good friend, Joe Cipollini. He does also mention joining his Ramp Skills Academy, so make sure you do check that out, ramprei.com. We'll have that in the show notes, so make sure you do go check that out. But once again, now at this point, without further ado, let's get into this episode with Joe Cipollini. Enjoy. Welcome back to the REI Marketing Weekly. It's your host, Josh Culler, and today I've got my good friend, Joe Cipollini, on the show today. Joe, how you doing, my friend?
What's going on, Josh?
All right, I'm super excited because we were talking about what to discuss prior to the episode, and I think we're going to get a lot of tough love today, if I'm hearing this right. And I think these are conversations that every real estate investor right now needs to hear. I told you that I had just gotten off a call with a person in my mastermind, and they were talking about, their close to contract to close ratio right now from the marketing they're doing. When the leads come in, get a property under contract, and then they close is like less than 30%. And that's a pretty low percentage historically for him specifically, but obviously across the board in a way. And he specifically said it's just unrealistic expectations from the sellers that are being set by his lead managers. And he's the dispo guy in his business. So what we're going to be discussing is going to be just making sure that what I might even call, I was thinking of this as you were kind of explaining it, Joe, is kind of weathering the storm of marketing and sales and bringing them to life together and making them actually sing well together, so that they are essentially rowing in the right direction. Because I think, and you could preach this too, but in the last few years, the best have stood out, and some of the ones that have run marketing and just not kept an eye on it and making sure that they're tweaking it, making it better, or pulling out too early, going broke in marketing, are the ones that are essentially going out of business. And you're seeing this a lot. So let's talk about that for a second. So I want you to kind of give, I don't know if there's a specific question I would start with, but maybe if you want to go ahead and talk about, you work with Eric Brewer, who and Ben Montlocker, who both have been on the podcast here, and Eric's company doing roughly $1 million in revenue a month in wholesale deals. I'd be interested to hear, just from like a pulse standpoint, what you guys are seeing, and obviously you're working in Ramp as well, what you're seeing from across the board with real estate investors and this issue of marketing and sales not lining up properly with each other.
Man, I'm so passionate about it. I'm going to try so hard to stay off the soapbox here, but it is, when you said it's like the conversation that investors need to hear, I think it's a conversation it's technical enough that the casual investor might not intentionally go and have this conversation. But it's where the pros need to go right now is excellence. And so I'll give you from like two different perspectives. I'll give you from the inside, right? So I have the ability and the pleasure to work inside of the ecosystem there with Eric and the team. Very significant marketing budget. I previously was the chief sales officer there, right? So like I understand how that business has evolved over these years and the intention and attention to their marketing. So seeing it from the inside, there's been some pretty significant changes on the inside over the last 120 days or so. So seeing that, and then, in Ramp on the education side of things, we get to see, you use the word pulse, we get to see a cross section of America, right? We have, we have dozens, 100-ish, companies in our ecosystem there. And by the questions I get on sales, I can tell what's happening between marketing and sales. And right now is a time when, if you're in the REI space and you think that you can be on autopilot, or you think that it's like, it's going to be something that you don't have to necessarily like focus on as a professional, you're going to get smoked right now. I think we're seeing a have and have not world develop. The haves, those who are focusing on marketing at a high level and sales and being extraordinarily good. And I don't mean high pressure. I just mean like buttoned up. So seeing those companies, they're rising to the top. They're getting market share. It may not feel great every day because there definitely are some market circumstances that are tough, sure, but they're rising to the top and they're taking market share. And then there's those who maybe were getting by with some good tailwinds from a market that was easier and a consumer that was a little bit more easygoing. Mm-hmm. And they're getting their teeth kicked in, and it's leading to cash flow issues. It's leading to something we call porpoising, which is like, the good months, the bad months, the good months, the bad months. And then next thing you know, you're pulling back on marketing because the bad month was too bad. Then you're really in trouble in 90 days. So, yeah. So we're definitely seeing that. And so there's two.
Hold on, Joe. I want you to go back for just a second, because I caught something there that I want you to cut into a little bit. You said you stopped the marketing, so then that eats you up later on down the road.
Yep.
Guys, this is pipeline issues. Can you just spend like 60 seconds explaining that detail? Because I think that's extremely important for people right now.
Absolutely. And my apologies. Sorry, but not sorry for how nerdy I am. And you're welcome as well. So the reason that I geek out so much on sales and marketing is that it's exactly this thing, right? Cause like we wake up and we're looking at our bank account, and that's how we're measuring the pipeline health, which is what you were, asking about. Yeah. Well, your pipeline is like, it's really what you did 150 days ago. And it starts with your decisions in marketing. And so having good lead sources that convert at a good rate, that put you in front of the people that you want to be in front of, with a conversation that allows you to convert them, right? So that's the top of the funnel. And then this is why I'm like I'm like waving alarm bells right now for everybody, because if your sales skills are even mediocre, then what you're going to see is your conversion rates are not going to be quite good enough to keep you at a good, conversion rate. And then that's going to lead to not enough appointments, which is going to then lead to not enough contracts. And then 150 days later, when you look at your bank account and you're sad about that, it's like, then you're going to make emotional decisions on things that you should have been paying attention to 150 days ago up at the marketing level. So that's how that starts. And the porpoising, right? Porpoising is at the end. It's at the lag of all of that. So if you're having good months and then not so good months and inconsistencies in deal flow, you got to go all the way to the top of the funnel and start to check, are you consistent there, right? Because if you're like not consistent on your follow-up calls, or you get decent leads, but you don't call them back right away because you're too busy, then you're going to regret that in 100 days, because that's going to lead to that exact thing.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so as you're talking about this stuff, that you're saying nerding out, but like the way I look at this is, it's just, you said this at the beginning of that previous segment that you were going into, and you said it's the pros. So like the professionals in the industry are the ones that are sticking out. And what's funny is a little bit of a correlation. If you're watching the video right now, I see that Mamba Mentality book behind you. I also have mine right there as well. You may not be able to see it. That's up on my shelf. And one of the things that if we kind of look at the scope of even just athletes, I mean, everybody that's listening should know who Kobe Bryant is, even if you're not a basketball fan. Mm-hmm. One of the things that's fascinating about Kobe, and because he's one of the best players to ever play the game, and he was a true professional, is the intricacies of the way that he looked at the game. So like, one of the things I nerded out with when it came to reading that book was when he was talking about shoes, because I'm a big sneakerhead and I love Kobe's line of sneakers. I've probably got about 10 pairs of Kobe's in my inventory right now. And one of the things that he talked about was early on in his career, he would use mid or high tops and chunkier shoes, because that was kind of the trend of the 2000s. Mm-hmm. And then he started analyzing other sports, and he would look at like soccer, and where they're using a lot of their footwork, obviously, like it's 100% geared on that, and movement in the ankles and the calf areas in your foot. And he wanted to be able to be a little bit more limber. So that's why if you see like right around 2004-05, his sneaker line started going to low tops, and they became almost looking like indoor soccer shoes. And it's those types of intricacies that made him a professional. Mm-hmm. So when you're talking about this stuff, this is what sets the best apart from everybody else, are these little intricacies that you have to dial in. And I'm preaching to the choir, by the way. Like, these are things that I've really overlooked over my career of being in business, and not even being an active real estate investor myself, but serving real estate investors. These are things that I have to notice in real estate investors while I'm servicing them as well, and cleaning up my act on my services too. And that's just an interesting parallel that I saw that, obviously I saw the book, but I think it's something that a lot of investors aren't paying attention to, because like you said, the tailwind of having some good seasons, right?
It allowed mediocrity to seem excellent, right? Yeah. It's funny that you said that that's one of your favorite chapters. You know what my sneaky favorite chapter is, or favorite section is? It's about the tape. Like, there's a whole section about getting taped up. Like, guys, the level, it's not normal, and that's okay, right? Excellence isn't normal. There's a reason it's the top 1%, right? But like, he has a whole section on the intentionality and purpose behind the way he got taped up. Like, his preparation wasn't just like the shots, although there's a lot of really interesting, information out there. I also like Tim Grover, who wrote some pretty incredible books about sports and business as well. But like it's talking about that. I mean, I think, if you want to be great at anything, and by the way, being great at sales equals revenue. It's just like, there's a direct correlation there. So if you think that you're going to be in business to make money, then you might as well be in the business of excellence, of sales, and of influence and relationships. And it doesn't mean you're icky or pushy. It's like, it's literally just, how do you attract people who are a great fit for you? How do you serve them so well that it feels amazing at the end? And then how do you turn that value exchange into revenue? Like, that's business at any level, guilt-free, right? So, but yeah, I mean, it's like, if you can remember like your last sales experience, and like, was it a Kobe experience or was it not? Like, if the last car that you bought, was it like a Kobe level or was it not? And if you had a Kobe level, if it was like incredible, like, would you like, what was this? What kind of car was it? How much were you willing to pay for that experience? Like, if you went to the Mercedes dealership and you got like the JV level experience, like, you probably didn't feel amazing about paying that money, right? So just something to think about there.
You know what's hilarious is you just use that. So we'll get off this philosophy thing here in a second and start to dial in some action items. You use that. So I have a Mercedes C300. I love the car. It's like my favorite car that I've had some really, really nice cars before. And I literally just had to have some work done to it. I had to have, apparently I had some like issues with my rotors and, ball bearings and my back wheels, and it was making a weird noise. We have a local Mercedes dealership that I actually bought the car from. And so I got it serviced there. I've had it for 2 years now. And just the level of service that they got made it easy for me to spend $1,100 to replace that.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, the things that they detailed my car, I got in the car, it smelled beautiful. It was it looked like a new car on the inside. They washed it, ready for me to like just have it ready to go. And they even offered me a porter service and all that. Like it was just next level stuff. And I think those are the kind of things, not just like for a car dealership, but obviously as a real estate investor, like why not go above and beyond to help your sellers and listen out for those extra things that they're looking for? And in fact, hilariously, my birthday was on Saturday. I picked up my car on Saturday morning. I get a call Saturday morning about an hour before I was heading to go pick up my car. I thought it was about my car and it was from the dealership. And all they called to say was, we just wanted to wish you happy birthday. Like we wanted to make sure that we reached out to you and said happy birthday. How old do you turn? It wasn't just a happy birthday. It was like, how old are you turning? What are you planning on doing today? I was like, so is my car ready to go? They're like, oh, we were just calling to call happy birthday, but I could check on that. So they went to check on it and like, yeah, the car's ready to go. And it's like that kind of level of service. I've had other people on the show here and they've talked about that.
Yeah.
How deep of like a customer service kind of function you have to have as a lead manager, as a acquisitions person. Mm-hmm. That's what's setting people apart. So here's what I want to do. So we've had amazing conversations on philosophy. Now I want to look at like what dials to turn. So in terms of making sure that sales effort is lining up with marketing, and you're not out marketing yourself and marketing yourself broke and that sort of thing, and you're actually dealing with the leads that are coming in and having a higher closing rate, contract to close rate. What are some of the things that you guys are experiencing that must be dialed in order to see that excellence kind of come to the top there? Interrupting this podcast episode to tell you guys that this podcast is managed and produced by Color Media Productions. Yes, shameless plug, that's my company. However, we do this for a lot of other people as well. Most people that we work with are in the real estate investing space. So if you're listening to this podcast specifically, you probably are a real estate investor, given it's called the REI Marketing Weekly. If you're somebody that either wants to start a podcast or you have one going and it's becoming a little bit of a hassle, you're looking to transition to somebody that works a little bit better with a fluid motion in terms of you get the recordings done and then they do everything else. Well, that's what we do. We do fully managed podcasts from start to finish, video, audio, show noting, the graphics, publishing, everything that goes into it. It's a full service business that we run here in a service for you as a real estate investor if you are running a podcast. Additionally, we also do social media and YouTube management as well. So all of that being on the organic side, if you are interested in learning more about working with us and just recording content with guidance and strategy set by myself personally, and then not doing anything else after that, where we're taking care of everything from start to finish, then make sure you go check us out at colormedia.com, CULLER media.com. Hit us up there and we can learn more about working together, hop on a phone call and see what we could do for you. Now back to the episode.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now messaging is so critical. So if you want to, we're going to go from philosophical to like extremely tactical right away. I think right now there's a lot of uncertainty in the world, and customers like this shifting market, which you can pretend it's not happening. It's definitely happening. There's a reality to that. But that's also coming with a little bit of baggage, which is this like customer uncertainty and hesitancy a little bit. On one side, right? It's almost like somebody used this term, and I think it's amazing in the marketing world, is we're currently running at a trust deficit, right? So like, right, we like talk about like a fiscal deficit, like money. Well, like just imagine that everybody that you're talking to right now has a little bit lower level of trust of everything than they maybe would have had. Like I'm a 80s baby. I look at the 90s and I'm like, oh man, like it was like, Clinton, it was like party time and everything was fun, right? And like, I always think of that as like the good old days, and I'm sure that other people think of their generation that way too. And it's like, now it's like, you got Twitter wars and everybody's angry at everything and road rage and all this other stuff. And like, economic uncertainty and inflation and blah, 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 all that. And it's like, so when you're picking up the phone on a call, like they're bringing all that baggage to that call.
Yeah.
So then, right? So first it starts with having clear messaging in the marketing. Like literally, what are you saying to the customer that says, hey, I'm going to help you with whatever's going on in your world? It's not about
expectations for when they reach out.
100%, right? It's not about like, if you're making it feel transactional because your marketing is super transactional sounding, like you're not doing yourself any favors at building trust and overcoming that trust deficit. So that's number one. Number two, and this is like, I was on a training about an hour and a half ago, and you know what we were focusing on? We were focusing on the first 90 seconds. And you know what our ramp training was 2 weeks ago? The first 90 seconds. Like, you want to talk about Kobe, like Kobe would practice those like tiny little moves of like exactly how he wanted to do it. He didn't play a whole basketball game every practice. He focused on little segments of fundamentals. I think right now, like if I can't go ring, 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 and you say hello and have your introduction locked tight, like then the person who calls Integrity First Home Buyers with Eric's team, that person's going to immediately have 1,000 times better experience, and you're going to lose market share and like immediately. So, you know, coming down to like having a good intro, making sure that you're understanding that messaging that I was talking about at the marketing level. One thing that we're doing really at a high level right now is connecting our lead, like the lead intake, to the messaging. Hey, how did you get to us? And then understanding that. So if you're paying for leads, and I'll just give examples of like PPL providers or direct mail or whatever it is that you're doing. If like that's how the leads are getting to you, you got to understand how that customer came to you, and then connect your language to that. Talk to them in the same way that they arrived at you. So that would be some immediate tactical things that any real estate investor, I don't care. Like, listen, if you want to do one deal a quarter or you want to do 3 deals a day, I don't really care, right? Like, but the one deal a quarter who doesn't focus on delivering a good experience is going to go to 0 deals a year like that. Because the market share is going to get sucked up by people who are delivering on that.
Okay, so I have a question that, as you were kind of ending that, I'm like, this is something that I don't know the answer to, obviously. So I'm asking for myself, but obviously the audience is. And the audience, like, if you're listening right now and you're struggling with anything that we're talking about, this is probably going to clear some things up. So when you're in your business and the businesses that you guys are working in, we're talking a lot about once the seller is on the call and has had proper expectations set, do you think that an issue right now is not leads coming in, but it's actually like the conversations being had to close and building that trust? Like, do you see leads being a problem right now, or leads is not the problem, but it's the actual, like, after the lead comes in, everything else is not tidy for most investors, and that's why they're losing deals? Is that what you're seeing?
Oh man, it's both. It's yes, right?
Is it?
The problem is, and this, people blame marketing for their crappy sales, right?
Right.
And so, and vice versa, right? So it's like, oh, well, the leads suck. Well, I never let the team say the leads suck until I know that they gave it a 10 out of 10 level of experience to the sales process. So, the problem there is, like, you can't hold anything accountable when it's all mediocre, right? So is there a leads problem right now? Yes, to a certain extent. I think that there's been a push of some lead sources that maybe created movement, like they created busyness, but they didn't create business, right? So they made the little thing go ding, or they made an email come in, but like, did they really get you closer to a revenue? I don't think so. So there was an uptick of that, which lowered the bar of quality. And then simultaneously, you had a bunch of people who, were coming and going in the industry from a skills perspective, and that was not so great. So it's like a perfect storm. I mean, you can work really, really hard and be broke if your leads are okay, but you're not. And then it's like, well, you still didn't convert, and vice versa. So I think it's a little bit of both right now. And I always go for, like, what can I control myself, which is, do I know how I'm answering the phone? Do I, can I control those simple human connection skills? Because if I can do that on a consistent basis, then if I don't like the results I'm getting, I can go upstream and say, hey, marketing, I'm doing a great job. Time for you to get your act together.
Yeah. Okay. So while you're on that, I want to utilize the last 5 to 10 minutes for this specifically. What would you say, and this might be something that is subjective depending on the business and the way that people run their marketing or their sales, or what, lineup they have on their sales team. What would you say would be the triggers that people need to look at in order to make the determination if the leads actually do suck, or if it is the sales team or the lead manager, or it's the system that they're using. Maybe they're, still in Podio and they need to switch to Go High Level or Salesforce or whatever. Like, what are some of the things that maybe like take us through a process that you look at to determine where that leaking hole is in order for them to fix it and know what to fix?
Yeah. So, I mean, listen, we work with teams that are doing, $200,000 a year up to, tens of million. And I can tell you that fundamentally you can run pretty much any business off of 7 numbers. And these 7 numbers will give you the health of your sales funnel right away. It's kind of simple. So just sorry if it's underwhelming. It's gross leads, quality leads, appointments set, appointments held, contracts, and profit. And you're probably thinking, well, what's the 7th one? And it's closings. So contracts to profit tells you the health of the total funnel, but then you're going to look at where your inefficiencies in your, like your buddy, right? His contract to close rate was 28%. It actually should be the opposite. It should be 70% should go into the closing table. So it means he has a ton of fallout. That's going to be there, right? So gross leads, which the definition of a gross lead generally should be any type of incoming lead that hits your system with a pulse, right? Then you can rule out spam and all the junk. Then you're getting down towards quality. Then you can decide what a qualified lead looks like. But if you just track those, you're going to see, right? So lots of gross leads and not a lot of qualified leads tells you right away it's a lead source issue. You're bringing in junk leads, right? Qualified leads, if you're getting there and you're not getting them appointments to hold, then it's your sales skills suck, right? So, and then if you're going on the appointments and you're not getting contracts, then guess who? That it's you again, right? It's your sales skills in the appointment. So each of those stages of sales process, and again, like you feel it the most in the business downstream. You feel it at like revenue, right? Yeah. So then you got to go up each of those 7 stages to be like, where's that leaky, as you said, like, where's that leak happening? And then that's where you go for improvement. And don't turn every dial at the same time. You focus on something that you're going to really zero in, make sure you understand it, and then you can improve it.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's good stuff. And I think those are the details that, again, as we had that conversation earlier about like the pros being set across from everybody else. I think these are the things that are just going to really put people in a better, healthier position business wise. Not just on the marketing side and sales side, but, just overall business. It's just these small dial. You said it's underwhelming. They're very simple. I mean, even in my space and organic content, social media stuff, like the things that set people apart in that are the most underwhelming things that people want to overlook because they're always looking for the secret sauce and the, like, what's the latest and greatest and all that. And now, especially with AI coming up, even though I've dug deeply into AI, especially on my side of what I do, it's still the correct fundamentals will still set people across the top. And they're just using AI as tools, and that's really all it is. So,
we'd spend another 30 minutes if we wanted to talk about AI, but I think you're seeing right now that people are trying to hit that as the easy button for not doing the fundamentals.
Yep.
And then you're just going to end up like with a really mediocre, watered down business. I'm starting to see indications of that. And hey, if other people want to do that to their business, that's totally cool. But I'm telling you right now, like the best of the best are using AI very sparingly in efficiency ways. They're not using it for effective ways, right? So they're not using it to get to perfection. They're just using it to bolster onto really solid fundamentals.
Right. Absolutely. That's all great stuff. Man, this has been an amazing podcast. Such great conversations that we've had. A little bit of philosophy and a little bit of tactical stuff. So we got the best of both worlds there. Joe, I want people to be able to connect with you if they want to learn more about working with you. You've talked quite a bit about what you do and that sort of thing. And we'll, obviously have that in the intro. And then anything that Joe mentions will be linked down in the description below. So you guys make sure you check that out. But Joe, you want to talk about some of the things that you're working on and ways that people can either connect with you or work with you in some capacity?
Yeah, sure. So, myself, and you mentioned Benmont before, he and I have really spearheaded our education side of the business. So it's pretty awesome working with a CEO who has such a big vision that he can build other visions inside of it. And Eric has really embraced education and taking what we've focused and built so hard in our business and kind of opening the doors for other people. So what we have is Ramp and the Ramp Skills and Conversion Academy. RAMPREI.com is where you can find that. And we have a couple of different programs in there. We have a group coaching program that's focused on sales. So if you liked the conversation about sales excellence, that's what we talk about there. We just get after it a couple times a week, and it's super fun. We do offer some one-on-one executive coaching, and we just love, honestly, like my personal mission is to create positive impact in other people. If I'm doing well, that's cool. But if I can help other people do well, like that lights me up on fire. So anything related to sales and sales excellence and sales operations, that's my jam. So ramprei.com gets you to my inbox and lets you snoop around at some really cool content over there.
Absolutely. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. And you guys, again, that'll be linked down in the description below. So make sure you do take full advantage of that. Reach out to Joe. Let him know that Josh sent you from the REI Marketing Weekly, and you guys connect with him. Joe, appreciate the conversation, man. This has been a great episode. I look forward to having you back again soon, of course.
Thanks a lot, Josh. Appreciate it, man.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you so much for joining and listening today. If you haven't already, make sure you have subscribed to the show and share this along with a friend. Make sure you go back to listen to some previous episodes too, because we've had a lot of great content. If you haven't already, make sure you have connected with me on social media, Josh Culler on Instagram or Facebook. You can also look me up on YouTube. I have weekly content going out there, teaching you how to do content, podcasting, social media, video content marketing, and that sort of thing. And a lot of great stuff, literally just dumping that out there. So if you guys want to connect with that, that'll be linked down in the description below as well. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one. See ya. All right.